So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to make it. Missed you already, a lot of the people. So good to see you. Some amazing drills and activities, and really hitting the ground running, which is amazing to see. I'm just going to run through our off court part. First of all, congratulations, everyone, on completing the on court. Hopefully, it wasn't too hard. But yeah, I think a lot of you might have been quite sore the next day. So if you had a bit of a cramp in the butt or a bit of a cramp in the back, hopefully it was all worth it and you learned a lot. Yeah, so we're going to talk a bit about the off court. Please, if you have anything you want to say in this time, just unmute yourself, jump in. We want this to be a bit more of a open discussion, so we're all learning together, rather than me just reading through the slides. But can everyone see that okay?
Yep.
All right.
I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, it's okay.
You see? All right. I don't know how to make this. Okay. Get this out the way so I can see what I'm doing. All right. So we've gone through our on-court assessment. We've looked at our players. We should have a fair idea of what we should be trying to do for our lesson plans. You've gone through the shots. You analysed all the shots. You've gone through tactics of the players. As our main theme, it's error detection and how to identify them, and common errors in pickleball. So that leads us into what we'll be covering today. So we're going through our lesson plans, but we're going to go through a bit more on the coaching style, incorporate that on how you write your lesson plans from there. Okay, so the first part is really knuckling down and trying to understand and know your students. So that's not just who's coming, what are they going to do. You want to try and know quantity. So how many participants are you expecting to come? How many are going to be in your groups? Are you doing small group sessions, large groups? Are you going to have 20 new beginners, or are they going to be one-on-one privates? If you can, try and come up with the player's name, so get really personal. So know their names or a nickname or something that you can both relate to, and then helps it go from there. So their experience. So again, have they played before? Have they? What sort of level are they at? And what do they want to get out of the main session? Ask them about their fitness. So, what's their fitness background? Do they have any injuries, knees? Inquire about their age, see if there's any restrictions that may hinder them. It's really important that you spend a bit of time knowing your students, working out as quickly as possible every single little detail, and treating your students not just as a number, but as a lot more than that. What are their strengths and weaknesses? So knowing that can really help you plan what sort of lessons you want to follow on to, and then you can go from there. Okay, so their purpose. Why are they taking their lesson? This is a really interesting one here. Everyone has a different purpose. Some they want to win gold. Some they want to just have fun with their friends. Everyone's purpose is different, and you really want to express yourself and just ask them why are they here, what do they want to get out of this lesson. Gives you an idea of where you can go from there. So not just rocking up, doing your session, is getting to know your students on an individual level. Even if you have 20 of them, each person has their own little uh, tricks that they need to go for. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the rationale. As you know, when Ben and I were running our sessions, we're always asking, why are we doing this? We want you to know why. That's the big difference. Okay, why are you trying to stop errors? So maybe they're just making too many errors in their program, and you want to try and come up with a lesson plan that stops some errors. Maybe you want them to transition out of defense. So they might be getting stuck in no man's land. You want to be able to progress, get them moving forward, going from there. The other one might be maybe they lack patience. So they're hitting two, three dinks, then they want to speed up, and then they hit the ball out. So they're the rationale of why you're doing the drill. Okay, not just having an idea and rocking up and going, this looks good, I want to use this drill. You want to know why and how you're going to actually apply that drill to your student. What some other ideas that may do for drills and exercises? Let's jump in here and have a look.
Just to add a little variety, if you've been working on a drill and then you may want to just change it up just for variety.
Yeah, so variety, that could be an awesome one. I think I want to try and get you guys to narrow down just a little bit more. Maybe it might be right. They're really struggling and they're getting opened up on their forehand wing. So I want to try and do this exercise that will create recovery for them to get back. So we try and go a little bit more in depth of your rationale of why you're doing the exercise, and really trying to think. And maybe as a different stimulus, that's a great one, but we want to try and make it a little bit more in depth of why we want to do it. So if anyone has any other drills, like rationales of why they might do stuff, as I said, being impatient, maybe being too forehand dominant, maybe not being in the right core positions, um, a lot of these little things. So you can really think about and break it down, and then it really starts to help you design your own lesson around what you want to do there.
Hey, Matt, I have a question.
Yep.
Yep. Just like you and Ben, is it really advisable whenever we're coaching to have a buddy with us, a buddy system, or can we just do it all by ourselves, or would it be advisable to get another guy?
No, you definitely don't need anyone. It just the only thing is you could have it's really good to feed off each other. So if you've got a larger type group, um, most of the time you're probably not going to have 20 or 30 students at once. So um, most of the time it's only one, you and your group. So that's normally fine. But early on, if you want to work with someone, you can definitely feed off. You can feed off ideas. You can help with communication, if you know and you work well with your partner. But yeah, I'd be saying it doesn't have to be.
All right, thanks.
All right, no more. So that's the rationale. So we're thinking really a little bit more in depth of why we're doing the drill and the exercise. Okay, and then we talk about what's your objective. So what are you aiming to get out of the lesson? Okay, so we have an idea of what we're thinking we can get out of the lesson, and that can change very quickly. Okay, but I really want you guys to think about from today, what am I trying to get out of it? Am I working on the technique, better positioning? Do I want them to be able to communicate? They're playing really well, they're great individual players, but I just can't get them to communicate. They're missing the balls in the middle. Everyone, you might have a different objective, and every lesson, try and think about what you can actually what your objective is. Okay, so all of these are different little ones. So many objectives that you could actually come with. So you could be just trying to work on reflexes. You could be trying to get them to
Really?
move and hit the ball. It could be fitness, your communication, better positioning, technique. There's so many objectives that you could really break down and use from there. So that's the objectives. And then, so an example might be, I really want this person to be able to hit a third shot drop. Okay, so all right, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks, and then they should be able to start hitting a drop in the middle or cross court. So you're giving yourself a little objective. A lot of the times we do exercises and we're trying to put in heaps of fitness or we're trying to do heaps of technique. Maybe think about if you're doing fitness or technique, they might be different. So are you trying to get them really fit or you're trying to work on their technique? Because if you're trying to spend too much time on their technique while also making them run too much, maybe you're getting away from your objective a little bit. So it's good to have a little bit across if you can, but if you're going to make them really tired, you probably expect for their technique to start to drop. So you have to think about that in your lesson planning. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. So these are little things that you probably never think about. We just go in, we get a great lesson plan, and then we just attack it. So really thinking about your objectives, what you want to get out of it, your rationale and your objectives. Okay, so your equipment, really important to have like a little kit if you can. Okay, you want to have your lines. As we said, try not to use cones unless it's for a certain target where the rally ends. Because if you use cones, the ball hits it, that's the end of the rally. It's very hard to continue on. But there is a place for them. You might want to set up a target, and then if they hit the target, that's the reward. Can also be fun. So you want your cones or your line markers. That's probably really important. You want to make sure the nets are in good condition. So you may need some net equipment. You might need a spanner to help tighten the net if it's permanent net, or you might need to be able to pull or have a little bit of tape if your nets are getting a bit run down or they need a bit of work. Do you have enough paddles and balls for everyone? Okay, so ideally you want 1 paddle, 1 ball. But yeah, if it's up to you, if you can. If you can't do that, you want at least 1 between 2. Okay, it's better to have more balls than not enough. Little things like your measuring tape, just to double check the lines, masking tape, see if there's no permanent lines. Really have a nice little pickable first aid kit, I like to call it. Also some first aid, just some basic bandages, some basic band-aids, or have access to it. So it's very clear there when you can get it straight away. Because they're the things that you need to take, and you need to really make sure your equipment's sorted. If we don't have the equipment, it makes it hard to get the best of our session. Okay, so safety, making sure you're not letting balls bounce onto the court. Okay, if someone's going to step on a ball, we let them know the ball's coming on, might hit off the wall. As you're coaching, sometimes we may be feeding a lot of balls, and the players just naturally get in a dangerous area. Make sure you stop. Make sure they're aware that the ball's rolling on court. Just keep it safe. As again, the first aid kit. So if you can have something there ready to go, just in case any minor sort of incidents. As a coach, you got yourself covered. If the playing surface is quite clean, so not too much dirt if possible. I know in the Philippines, we have that glossy paint everywhere. Thank God we got some beautiful courts coming through, but we still got glossy paint. So when it gets slippery, we might have to work out a way to deal with that one. Alcoholism. So if you feel like anyone on one of your plays are maybe over the limit or could become safe, probably let them know to reschedule their session if possible, or maybe come a different day in a polite way. You really don't want to put yourselves in a situation or any other players where players may just be intoxicated and things can get out of hand. The wind and the rain. So as we did in a couple of places, if the venues require certain courts not to be played on, you have to plan for that. The wind, can we put up some barriers or something just to help protect it? Little things like that. If you can think about it, which ways is blowing, maybe have some safety glasses or something like that if it's really windy. So these are just little small things just to think about. So objects if they're too close. So like a sign's too close, maybe the wall might be an unsafe area. Maybe you could bring a pool noodle or something just to make it a little bit safer. The more you can try and do, the better you are covered yourself as coaches. And it just makes a session run a lot more smoothly. Again, players' mobility. Okay, so if someone's really injured or they might have artificial limbs, you just have to be aware of it. Okay, maybe they can't move properly, maybe they've had heart issues. Yeah, you have to really just weigh all that stuff up. So, if there's anything else with safety that you're probably thinking about?
Yes, I have
jump
meeting
in.
also. Oh, okay.
Okay. Everyone's all good. We'll keep moving on.
Are you full? So should eat less. Yes.
Yeah.
So we eat less, but we still eat more.
Yeah,
That's fine.
they just telling us this. Yeah, I know it already. It will not be.
Ah. Oh, I'm just something just playing.
Go ahead, Matt.
I'm trying. I'm just got a bit stuck on my thing. All right, scroll down a bit. Okay, are we all right? All good. All right. So with your warm up, um, okay. So when you're doing your warm up, it's really important we're not doing stationary stretches. Okay, we need to be dynamic. what actually happens when you're doing your stretches is when you're moving, if you're not moving and you're standing doing a stretch, so you might be leaning over doing a hamstring stretch, that body actually takes 5 to 6 minutes for yourself to adjust. So if you're stretching your muscles without them moving, so doing an exercise without them moving, you're actually doing more harm to your muscles than what you would actually think you're doing. So just make sure you're moving when you're trying to do it. So you want to be jogging, you want to be doing dinking, something where they're constantly moving and you're working on those exercises. You want it to make it quite fun again. So when we did the games or when we did that type of warm up, we can include all the things that we do for our warm up, but can be in a fun environment. So rather than just doing the real basics, you want to make sure you're moving and having fun. So you could do dinking, jumping, skipping. You could do walking lunges. So you do a lunge, a walk for a little bit more, do a lunge. We could do a hamstring curl or a quad extension. As long as you're stepping, doing your exercise, stretching it right out as you're moving, and then letting it go. Okay. Remember to try and keep in your boundaries a little bit. Okay. I have an exercise science background, so I can prescribe certain things, but you can say, right, this is a nice basic warm up. I want to see you moving. If you have any other warm ups you'd like to do on your own, maybe go ahead. Try not to put yourselves in a scenario where you're probably over prescribing to where you actually are. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
So just
Yeah.
just for a legal type situation, dynamic stretching is the way to go, and then you probably don't want to over elaborate too much outside of your area, just for safety and for protecting yourself as a coach. Okay, so anyone have any good little warm-up ideas they like to use? Probably only need 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes before each session's plenty. Okay, we don't need to spend half an hour on the warm-up, but we also need to cool down as well. So, okay. So we're going to introduce of the concept, okay? So you need to demonstrate and explain why they're going to do the drill. So as you know, we demonstrate, we then show them, and then we get them to do it, and then we can correct them. Okay, so it might be, all right, I'm going to work on your dinks today. And I think we've got to make sure you keep your body weight forward. So explaining what the drill might be and the task, and then they have a bit more of understanding. Explain some common errors. Okay, so a lot of people might actually fall back or they lift their head too early on their back end when they're doing this. So try and make sure that players are aware what others are doing so they can actually help themselves for what they need to do. We want reflection. So get the students to reflect on their own performance. Okay, so how do you think you went? Ask them, how did they go today? Did you have a good session today? It really helps with engagement, focus, and enthusiasm for the session. Okay, so the more you can get them to reflect, how do you think that backhand went? Did you think you hit that nicely? How are you hitting your serves? Okay, gets them really thinking about their own game, keeps them engaged, and you're not going to lose any students that way. Okay, so when you introduce a new skill, it can lead to more errors and breakdown of the drill. Okay, so what you need to try and do is maybe have some shadow swings and some time to rehearse it. So not over coach, not over communicate. Okay, when you're introducing something quite new and challenging, it's great to give the players a bit of time. You don't need to step in every time and correct. Overswing, don't overswing, doing this, do that. So when you're planning, make sure if you're creating something new, if you're doing a task which may be challenging, make sure you allow enough time for them to rehearse it, to practice it, to get it wrong. Okay. If they're still not able to catch on, you can try and break it down into the 4 phases. You're ready, you take back, you contact, you follow through to help them work out exactly what's going on and what the problem could be. Focus on a single point of emphasis. So it could be if they hit the ball here, it should be going out. So you want to leave it. So you might be working on leaving the ball. It might be right. I want you to leave it if the ball's this high. That's the main focus. Rather than remember, paddle up, do this, do that. If you give them 6 or 7 exercises, you might overcomplicate what it needs to be. So focus on one point of emphasis. It's clear, it's precise, and then they can take it off to their own learning. Okay, so now we talk about drills with regression and progression. Again, plan your time for the right amount of learning. If you're a past player from tennis or another racket sport, you may have a lot of bad habits. Putting pressure through competitive play or target drills can expose weaknesses and make your students aware. So sometimes you might have, we've all been there, we've got this cocky player that thinks they're the best. They don't really want to listen to you. But you've already seen, right, there might be a bit of an error here. And you might be doing a drill, but you can't quite expose it. So you might have to maybe put the pressure on them. So put them in a scenario where you know there's a higher chance of failing. And that can really expose the weakness. Okay. If it's just a basic drill, if it's a bit easy, they might not show up as the weakness. So you might have to put them in a scenario where they're actually failing. Go from there. Regression. Okay, so what we want to try and do, our learning always comes up and down. So regression is when you make the drill or exercise or task a little bit easier. Okay, so that's what regression means. This can be done by, like, instead of hitting it with your paddle, I'm going to hand feed it. So someone might be able to throw the ball. That's a regression. So it's a little bit easier than the last one. You might want to give them a bigger target on the court. So if we're doing our depth chart, again, we might give them more area to aim for. If we're doing a different drill, we might, change our targets. So it's one little step back to make the task easier. Okay, so we always want to regress, progress, regress, regress. Go from there. So that's regression. Okay, any questions on regression? Or any of that? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about progressions. Okay, so this is adaptation of the drill to build complexity and difficulty. So this is where we make it more challenging. Okay, so as your students master a task, you must keep them move into more difficult tasks to be able to keep them stimulated and focused. Okay, we don't really want to just stay the same. We either want to be going down, regressing, or progressing. Okay, we don't want to plateau. We don't want our students to plateau. So this can be done by making them perform while they're moving, being more aggressive, or maybe hitting in smaller targets. Okay, so every drill, you might be able to adjust it just with your targets. It might be a basic dink, then into a slice dink, then to a slice dink backhand. It's just one of the many progressions that you could do. Okay, so thinking about, right, I need to write my lesson plan. What's my next move? How do I make this more challenging? Okay, or I'm really struggling here. How do I make my activity easier for my students? Okay, so we're always progressing, we're always regressing. what they need to do. Okay. So what we need to think about when I'm writing my lesson plans is trying to have 2 friendlies. Okay. We did that with our 1 bounce here, 1 bounce here. 2 friendlies actually gives you a chance to set up the drill. Okay. Before it gets a little bit more challenging. So it's kind of creating a scene. It's creating them not just hitting the ball out straight away. They actually have to think about the 2 shots. Okay. So I always like to do 2 friendlies. This builds controlled, cooperative shots to allow rhythm to be established and reinforced correct technique. So certain things like return might be, let's practice 1 return and then the next one we're going to play. Okay, so this is great to help structure your lesson rather than just going in, the server hits a really good serve, the returner can't get it back. Okay, it might be 1 build up. So no matter what, this is my first practice and then I get to have a go at it. Obviously, there's times where you probably want them maybe just 1 shot, but majority, I would say 80%, you're trying to have at least 2 shots. So 2 friendlies. The number of friendlies can always be changed based on what you want to cover in your session. Okay, so these partly structured drill variations allow for a mixture of control, reinforcement, skills, fun, and realistic competition to reinforce smart decision making, shot selection, movement, and level of timing of aggression. Okay, so we don't just want them hitting 1 shot and then that's the end of it. Normally, the ball's going to be coming back. We want our players to expect the ball to be coming back. Okay. Breaks. Okay, so when you're going to put breaks into your lesson plans, it's very underrated. Okay. It's really, really important that we start to include breaks and we're not just using that as a hydration break. There's a lot more to it. Okay, so what your breaks allows for the coach to reassess his own drills and to be able to set up for the next one. Okay, so without that break time, we can't actually progress to the next exercise properly. So a lot of the time I would say, all right, let's have a 5-minute break or a 2-minute break. That gives me a time to just quickly in my head assess how did that last drill go? Where am I going next? Can I set up the cones, the activity, so when they come out from their break, they're ready to go. Okay. It also gives your participants time to chat and have fun and to socialize and talk about their day as they pick up balls. Okay. It's not just a hydration break, go, come back. This could be their socializing. For us, our sport's such a wonderful sport. Giving them the time to socialize can help with their concentration. That's when they can bond, they can have their friendship time. And then once they get back, they can understand, all right, I'm ready to play, I'm ready to coach and be coached. Breaks in pickleball can help with a routine. So as you know, we might have a ball coming on court, we might have a broken paddle, we might have a timeout being called. We have so many breaks in pickleball. We might have a score dispute. We might have another interference. So if you can create a routine where they can have that break, they can switch off, and then they learn how to switch back on, that's really important. Okay, so it's not just a hydration. Of course, we want to make sure they're hydrated. Okay, so that's another bonus, but think about breaks as something different. You're actually including breaks. So when your student is ready to enter a tournament, they're not flustered or they're not put off by a break. Okay. Sometimes I just have random breaks where it's half an hour or a bit longer. And I go, bang. All right, we're having a 30-second timeout. And then they just have to have a quick drink and then run back. Okay. So it doesn't have to be at this time we're having an exact break. Sometimes you want to make it random. Has anyone actually thought about breaks in depth, really? or it's just simply been a hydration exercise?
Well, normally, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Normally, what I'll do is I'm gonna check the person, if especially like as what you said, it's about water break. I mean, their physical being, if they're sweating a lot, and if I can see them like hitting less effective, then I will do the break. But normally, if I see them hitting effectively, I'll continue on. I'll
Okay.
continue with the drills. That's
Mhm.
normally what I do.
Yep. Which is what most people do. You just say, oh, look, he looks a bit tired or he's making a mistake. Let's give him a break. That can be
Yeah.
good, but it also can be right. You need to focus. You need to do 10 jumps just to get their focus again. Okay. So it might be a break from your activity, or they need to sit down, have some water. So many different elements. So the more you can think about it and include it into your lesson plans, the more effective you'll be. Okay, so then we're going to go into the fun. So fun can be determined by a lot of different things, and everyone has fun in their own different way. Okay, for me, I always base it on right. I might have a high performance. I might have a national player. Their idea of fun might be to hit 100 balls. Okay, but for me as a coach, is that fun for me if I just feed 100 balls, they hit 100 balls? A lot of it determines right for me. If I'm not enjoying it, if I'm not getting anything out of it, I look back and I go, what are my students going to get out of it? So it has to be fun for you as a coach, it has to be fun for them. So rather than just hitting 100 balls at a target, let's give them an extra challenge or reward or something for hitting those balls. Okay. No matter what sort of level they are, a lot of players, as they get up in higher levels, they just decide that, nah, they want to be really good. They want to play professional. We're not going to have any fun games. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to do drills. Okay. No matter what level you are, we still want to enjoy the game. We still love the game. So don't just think just because they're a top player that they don't want to play games, they don't want to have fun. You just got to do it in a different way because their stimulus is going to be different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, as again, if you think about fun, this gets back to the start question of knowing your students. Okay, so what's fun for them? It could be completely fun from the different person. So when you're grouping, and once you get to a higher level, it might be what do they enjoy doing? Might be a better group of 3 or 4 for a squad rather than certain other things because they're all going to be good players, but these ones might love doing these type of drills. These ones probably want to do something else, so I might group them together. So that fun element can determine which groups might play together and why they're actually playing pickleball. Okay. So student reflection. So take a moment to encourage students to reflect on the most important things they feel they learned and they will continue to work on. So it could be straight after a lesson. You could just go, right, I want you to write down a couple of things that you learned from my lesson. And I want you to tell me a couple of things you want to work on during this break till I see you. Okay, so that just gives them that bit of time to comprehend what they've actually learned in that lesson. And then they're going to give you feedback to let you know if they've actually learned anything from it. If it's a block of lessons, inform that they will be working on their upcoming sessions. This helps them to build excitement. So you might say, right, that was really good. Next week, we're probably going to work on our serves. Okay. And then they know, oh, this is exciting. I really want to work on my serves. I can get into it. Give your students your own reflections on their sessions. So tell them what they did really well, what they could work on, and always finish on the positives. Always keep them coming back. So you might say, like, I might thought you're a little bit flat today, or we maybe are missing our contact point on our backhand. If we can really work on that, I reckon we'll be able to hit some beautiful cross-court backhands next week. But I thought you hit some amazing top spin forehands. Okay, that's awesome. I love to see when you crunch those. It's just amazing. We'll be able to combine both of them next week, and I can't wait to see you, for an example. Okay, so their performance may be giving you them some sort of discouragement. So they might be like, oh, I just can't hit the ball today. Why do I want to keep going? So again, they might be learning a new skill. They might have been having a bad day. Do a personal reflection too. So not sure how many coaches have actually written down notes after their own lessons. It took me a while to start to do this till I understood what I needed to do. It can be done really quickly. It can be a couple of sentences. You get out your phone, you open your notes, you talk in your notes, you write yourself some notes about that. So what worked? Right, that was no matter what I tried, this drill just broke down. It just would not get to flow properly. Maybe I need to tweak this, this, and this. Or this week I did this, I did that, I did this. He hit the ball quite nicely. Something like that. Okay, so if you can, we all got busy schedules, and as you start to get busy and busy, you have clients coming after. Maybe allow a minute or two just to give yourself a personal reflection on your own session. Were you happy with it? Did it go how you want it to go? Did you get the best out of your student or yourself from that session? Okay, so might have been I actually talked way too much this session. I didn't feel like he learned what I needed to. Go from there. So, what other scenarios where you guys have probably been in where you can honestly look back and go, well, I didn't do that too well. And how many of you are actually writing down? I'm sure some might be, but I wouldn't think many have ever written down much on their own sessions. Yeah, so on the out of the group, is there anyone honestly taking notes after their own sessions at the moment, or
I don't normally taking down notes, but what I do is after they come back to the next session, I ask them, what did we learn last time? And that makes me also remember what I have taught them. And like it's like a review for all of us. If they have learned something or what was the lessons earlier and what they want again to do or to practice more or to drill more.
okay?
But never take down the lesson. I mean, never take down a note or something.
Okay. So what could be that's a good little intro, but what could be an issue with that? What do you think might be an issue with that type of situation?
I feel it's a good one, but I normally really don't. I don't know, but probably I should do it. I mean, if that makes a lot of, I mean, better way to coach, then probably it's about time for us to. I mean, for me, not for us, but for me to take down notes.
Yeah. So it's great because they have to think about it, but you might not have seen that person for a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't really remember at the time what he might have done. And you can't really plan from one session to another. So that's why it might have been good. All right. Oh, I saw in our notes. Well, we did forehands last week. Well, you're having a bit of trouble. Have you practiced it? So that could be the same sort of scenario, but you're maybe just jumping on the front foot and saying, look, this is what we did. Maybe not get on the Red Bulls on the drinks too much the night before because you're a bit flat or something like that. And then you can make it really lighthearted. They know that you've actually really cared and done your research and ready to go for the next lesson. So Both are great. There's no
Yeah.
sort of one sort of way of doing it. I don't want anyone to think,
Hopefully, I'm gonna do it next time. I mean, on my
yeah.
next.
And you do run out of time, okay? So it's just got to be a system where it's quite quick, it's quite sharp for you guys just to be able to take down notes. Because we do have time. We don't have time to do it, especially with the Filipino traffic. Sometimes you're waiting 10 minutes before everyone else comes for the next lesson. So just something to think about. Student reflection and your own personal reflection as a coach.
Yeah, that's good. We'll try. I will try.
All right. So some of my key points that I recommend. So preparedness. So that's again taking your notes, having all your equipment, planning out your sessions a little bit more. So that's preparedness. Being as prepared as you can for every scenario. Enthusiasm. So trying to keep you fun. Your students actually feel when you're down. So if you're dragging your feet, you're not looking professional, you're not giving it your all in some of these sessions, your students can pick up on that. So you got to kind of be up, or you got to be at the level that they require. Some students want you to be a little bit firmer at certain points and they really want your attention. Others want you to be fun and bubbly. So know your student, and then work out where you sit there. Demonstration, explanation, and communication two ways. So don't just tell the people what they need to do. Make them ask questions, make them think about it. Two-way communication. Make sure you listen. Okay. Sometimes you might have a lesson plan in mind. If you ask them, right, what would I want to do today? And they tell you it's this, you want to work with what your student wants rather than just going, no, I'm just going to do this today. Okay. So two-way communication, ask questions, ask reflections, listen to your students. Don't just hear them. Go from there. Observing. So take a bit of time to step back. What is happening in my session? What is happening everywhere? Where is it actually going wrong or going right? It doesn't always have to be going wrong. Positive feedback, helpful correction. Okay. You're there to correct and help them and guide them into the right way. So make sure you're thinking about that. You're not just standing off to the side. You're not getting in and helping. Patience. Okay. We need a lot of patience. Sometimes you're just so frustrated. You're just like, if I throw this ball one more time in the right spot and you're still going to miss it, you just got to bring it in, understand, right? Everyone's got different learnings, different patience. We can do this. Liability and legal requirements. Okay. This is more for us in Australia because we're absolutely political correct, but it's also important that you guys think about yourself as well. So try not to put yourself in a situation where I try not to be left alone with a student if you can. So just little things like that. So liability, what are your requirements? We have working with children's checks and all these different checks. If you have that as well over in the Philippines, be aware of them. Hopefully, you don't have to become a nanny state like Australia, but be aware of your legal requirements. Okay, so anything on that? Any other coaching points you'd love to add? Anyone?
Just asking. Have you experienced like a player says what you're doing is wrong, and how do you deal with that? If you know what you're doing is correct, I mean, like, it's right, it's the proper way, systematic way, or the best way, and then no, that's wrong. You have to do it this way. How do you deal with those kind of students?
Yeah, okay. I think we have to be open and go, there's no really right or wrong way. Okay. Everyone has a different opinion on why they want to do it. What you can do then is just encourage. The only thing you can do is encourage ways and reasoning behind it. So giving them why. Okay. You might be thinking that we need to hit the ball cross court here. I'm suggesting you hit the ball down the line because you can actually cover this part of the court. Okay. So you're actually giving them the reasoning and justifying why that might be a better option than the other one. Of course, you can't force them. At the end of the day, if you're prepared, you know your knowledge, you can actually guide them through and say, right, let's happen if you hit this cross court. If you're good enough as a player and they hit maybe the wrong ball, if you're able to have someone that's good enough that can punish them or maybe show them that it might not be the right option, or that there's a different option, they'll actually appreciate that, hang on, I'm not just being closed minded. It's not just your way or my way. You're actually open to them and communicating properly that these are the reasons why we could do something else as well.
Have you faced like those kind of students?
You get that all the time. Sometimes,
I mean, here in the Philippines, have you seen one or experienced one?
nah, the Philippines are a lot different to Australia, to be honest. There's a thirst for learning in the Philippines. Tim can back me up this dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
But
Definitely.
in Australia, they ask a lot of questions. They think they know better than you. In the Philippines, it's completely different. There's a big respect for coaches, and people want to learn. So I haven't actually come across it too much. But again, I've had so many years of experience that I've probably had different scenarios and I've just dealt with it in my own way. I'm lucky enough I have the ability to, right, maybe if I feel like they're hitting the wrong shot, I can expose the weakness very quickly so they understand that there. So it's just a level of respect and just the way you want to go about it rather than being open. As I said, there's no right way. Pickleball's always evolving. You just want to try and explain them why you all want to go that way, and then they'll just appreciate that there. You don't always have to have a client that works for you. Okay. Sometimes it's okay to say, look, I really appreciate it. I think we're button heads here. I love working with you, but maybe it might be good to try with this coach. Okay. I know it's a weird thing to do. We want to try and keep all our students, but some people just aren't meant to work together. And they've got different philosophies and different ideas. If they don't want to learn, if they don't want to change, that might be an option too. And just be open and just say, look, I love what you do. You're training hard. I just think we're having this different communications, and I don't feel like you really taking my advice in certain directions.
All right.
Matt, sorry, it's Tim from Sydney.
Yeah.
I have an example. Quite often when you've got new players and you're explaining to them, basically the purpose is to get to the kitchen. And I always say rule 1 is get to the kitchen and rule 2 is refer to rule 1. And then they say, why do I have to get to the kitchen? I like standing back and hitting the ball. And and then I usually say, well, if you watch professional pickleball, it's basically you don't win. If you play 1,000 points, you're going to lose 980 if you stand at the baseline. And it's, the game is basically played at the kitchen. So I've had that, it's more so with beginners, the people that haven't played or are very inexperienced. So dealing with that.
So what you did then without even knowing is you referred to information or something where they can actually show them. So you can actually got the proof of the professionals coming in at the net. There's your evidence to back up what you're trying to guide them and why you're trying to guide them.
Why we do it, yeah.
And so you could actually get out your phone there as an example and say, as you can see, we watched it for 2 minutes. How many people actually staying back? And I go and I normally say, look, you might win 6 or 7 points staying back, but how you're going to progress against the top players. And that way they understand, oh, actually, I am winning staying back, but I do need, if I want to beat the people I need to beat, I need to come forward. So that's a great example. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on. So that's just some of the coaching. Okay, you can go into a lot from all that different detail. But now we're just going to move a bit more into the lesson planning. So thoroughness, covering off useful range of learning objectives with an outline of target skills, key technical and tactical points, and drills applicable to the lesson topic. Okay. What I would try and say is have a theme with your lesson plan. So that's why we really wanted you to have a theme of what you learned and what you saw. Your lesson plans can change. Okay. So if you have a theme, you can adapt within that theme. If you're sticking to a lesson plan and they have a drink at 5 minutes, they have so many hits, they're going to hit 20 balls. I guarantee you things will change in your lesson. The person might be late, the person might be sick, the person might not have his paddle. You have to be adaptable to all scenarios. So rather than being too stringent on your lesson plan, you need to have as much as you can there and different options. Okay, so that's probably my main thing I'd like to stress with lesson planning is have a theme, work around a theme, be adaptable. So things are gonna change. Just make sure you've got enough ideas and different things down. So when you do have to change, you're on top of it. Connectivity. So how well does one lesson connect to the other? Okay. If 1 week you're doing forehands and then the next you're jumping to a backhand, you've got no flow. Okay. So how well do your lessons connect? Progressions. So are you progressing or are you just doing the same thing over and over? Okay. Flexibility. Again, this is where I talked about flexibility in your lessons. Remove a drill, change the drill, regressions, progressions, whatever the student needs for that session to get them the best out of it. So your tactical notes. So you might be looking at risk management, when to be safe or when to be aggressive. You might be looking at core positioning, how to play safe. Okay, where to hit when in trouble, where and how to apply pressure, your speed of play. Okay, so do I slow it down? Do I go fast? Do I dink? Do I speed up? Okay, so your third shot decisions, your fourth shot decisions, your communication, whose ball's decision. Okay, there's so many tactical little elements. You have to think about all of that with your lessons. Your technical notes. Okay, I would say get ready for your ready position. Anything technical, just go into your 4 phases. Okay, that's probably the best one. Remember, there's no set textbook rule. So if you see something that's a bit funny, they might be hitting it with the weirdest grip and they might be hitting a perfect shot. Okay, so maybe just break down, did they make contact point right? If something's really not working and they can't hit to a certain area or it's causing an injury, that's when I'd really step in and go through my technical notes. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? So there's no set technique on how to play pickleball. Okay, but you're looking for the main elements. Is there too much take back? Is there contact in front? So the first thing is, can they hit the ball where you want them to hit the ball? And is it safe? Are they going to hurt themselves? If they are, let's go through and try and correct it. If not, we might be able to work with it. Okay, so try just keep that in mind. There's no set rule book. There's no set thing. Every single professional pickle player you watch has a slightly different technique. Okay, so for those that are technical focused, just keep that in mind. Same with tennis. Same with any racket sport. Every single top player has little bit things different, but they all do the fundamentals correctly. So your drills have a purpose. Okay, so again, allow time for error, correction, regression, and progressions, cooperative to competition, limited and controlled to free flowing. Okay, so drills, just make sure they're not too repetitive. Okay, you want to be able to change them up and make them quite exciting. Make a connection and try to build from simple and complex skills rather than jumping randomly from topic to topic. After working on a new skill for much of the lesson, introduce the drill that integrates the new skill with the skill practiced in the previous lessons. Okay, so just trying to have the flow, as much flow as you can rather than just jumping from one thing to another. Okay, so we've got just some drills for 2-8 people, couple of drills there to help you as a basic. All right. Okay, so for your assessment, have we got any questions or anything you want to add there? Everyone's okay? All right. So what we're going to do is you just have to do a 4-week lesson plan. Okay, we're looking for 1 hour lesson. You can do it in whatever format you want to do. Okay, so whatever you want to format, however you want to write it, if you want illustrations, everything like that is okay. So we're not here to give you a set template and say this is exactly how you write your lesson plan. Everyone's going to write it up different. Some have more writing, some have more pictures. We just need the main key elements. So focusing on one of your pickable things that we looked at with all our matches, okay, with the player that you assessed. So looking at that, that's what you're going to base it on. It might be the dinks, the volleys, court positioning. We need to see progressions and go from there. All right. So these are just some of the drills and how I set it out the drill from some of the others.
Is this drill the same one that's in level 1?
Yeah, it might be similar to on that, just so you can have an idea of what it looks like. So you got to hit your targets for points. Okay, so that just might this is how you might structure out one of your drills. It might be exercise 1. We're doing this at this time. Okay, so it's just a guide that we've got on there.
So the lesson plan would be for a group of 4 or less?
Yeah, 4 or less. Okay.
Okay.
So it's just it's only a small group. You analyze one player, so you could even do it on. But we only want maximum of 4. We don't need it for any more than that.
So lesson plan for 4 students.
Yeah, so for 4 students, you did it on your one player, so up to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need a big group lesson.
And it should be 4 hours. Total 4 hours.
Total 4 hours, yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
1 hour a week over 4 hours.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so here you're to create a lesson plan for a small class to run for 4 lessons, 1 hour a week, with emphasis on technique, correction, and strategy. Okay, each lesson has to have a stated topic and a realistic practical objectives. Each lesson should have a planned progressive series of drills. Coaches may selectively emphasize or modify drills to accommodate students depending on their ability, needs, and to correct errors. Each lesson should incorporate observations, positive feedback, error detection, correction, demonstration, and drilling. Begin each lesson with a warm-up throughout hydration breaks. End with a cool down, stretching, and brief discussion. Okay. A little bit of fun towards the end of the lesson is a good idea. It generally builds anticipation of future lessons, increasing attendance. Okay. Both lessons and the courses as a whole should progress. For example, from fundamentals to more complex skills, or from techniques to tactical application. There should be some sort of coherence from one topic to the next. Okay, so we want to see flow. We want to see some good content. Okay, we want to see you structured. So here would have a lesson, would have a drink break. We just need a reasonable amount of content and at least the appropriate time to schedule for components. So if you say, right, we're going to do this drill, and then you only allow 10 minutes, and clearly you're going to need a little bit more time, that's something that we're going to be looking at. Okay. This is what we'll mark you on. Okay. So this is just a breakdown. So clear learning objectives. So it's out of 5. The lesson plan outlines specific, measurable, and achievable objectives. Okay. So you built on prior knowledge, so you progressed. Okay. That we can see effective instructional strategies and learning activities. So you did really nice activities. Your time management. So how did your lesson structure? How did you plan it out? Your format and your level of detail. Okay, so they're all marked out there. So you can send them in to Ben Hocking. I'll give you Ben, double check his email and I'll send that through. So you've got that there. That covers everything from our lesson plans and everything we need. Okay, so what we'll also do is we'll send you these slides so you can have a copy of all these slides as well. So you can clearly see what you need to do, and you've got the slides as a reference. I'll send through this recordings as well, so you've got something to go back on as well there.
Are you going to send that to our email addresses?
I'll put them on the chat, probably.
Yep.
Maybe not individually to everyone's email.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I'll just put it in. I'll most likely be a YouTube.
Make it a PDF or something, PDF file.
Yeah, just so we can send it all through. I might be on a YouTube, so we'll be able to go on and actually close YouTube, and you'll be able to see it that way. And then the file I'll send through.
Just asking, how long are we gonna make this lesson plan, and how long you're gonna expect us to? To submit to you the ones that you're asking.
Where are we? It's pretty much just up to you guys how quickly get it in. Okay, like we've got to take a bit of time to assess it. So if you probably look towards if you can get it in within a couple of weeks. If you can't, towards the end of the month, will be okay as well. So everyone has their own time frame that they're going to get it in. But just by the time we get it in, we have to assess them. We have to go through, and then you get your certificate from there. Okay, so just be patient. Once we send it through, it might take a week or so just from that, and then we can send out your certificate from there. So just depends on when you guys can get them in.
Say, definitely have a passing mark or something to give the certification. Well,
yeah. So you definitely need a pass.
Hopefully, I'm gonna pass. Hopefully, what if for some reasons I didn't make the lesson plan that you feel like I should give? Are you going to give us another chance or something?
Yeah,
like as something for us.
We'll help you too. So if you want to send it through, if you're really struggling and you go, right, can you have a read over and help me? We'll send it through just to make sure. Again, a lot of it, as you said, it's not a pass or fail. We want to make sure you guys are confident in your learning. Okay, so we're here to support. So if you're going right, can you just have a quick read of it just to make sure? Or in our groups, that's the best part. If you want to send it to someone on your group and just go, can you have a read over? Are we on the same path? We're all in this together now, everyone. So it's great opportunity to keep talking, to keep producing ourselves and getting better. Okay, so we'll happily just go right, help you read it through a little bit, maybe give you a bit more guidance of where you could add a little bit, or if it's not quite up to standard, we can say, right, maybe add a little bit in here, just to give you a guide. But I'm pretty confident in most of it. If you have the slides, you have some ideas there. You're all a great coaches in your right, so I'm pretty sure it'll all be smooth.
This lesson plan, are we supposed to do it for one student or four students?
No, you can do it from up to 4. Okay, so you can make
Up
it
to
a group
4.
session, or you can make it a private, because you only guys did only assess one player, but you did the theme, so you worked out a theme that you want to do.
Okay.
So yeah, we
Matt,
don't want to have we don't need a big group, just up to 4.
I've got a question, Matt.
Yep.
Is it okay if we incorporate the lesson plan in 4 1-hour videos and just demonstrate the lesson through a video of teaching the lesson? Would that be okay?
Well, we need to see how you
I written down.
would
Or do you-
rather written down if it's possible. We just want to see the different progressions and explain like what the drill would be and what it would be there. So you wouldn't probably have a lesson plan that would be done the lesson. So you need to plan this before you do your lesson. So it'd be very hard to write it, to read it. We're not assessing your ability to run a lesson, we're assessing your ability to plan the lesson.
Okay.
Are we supposed to be planning a lesson for any sort of student that can be for a beginner or for a intermediate player?
Yeah, if we can try and make it a bit more of an intermediate, but
Okay.
that's we don't really want it to beginners because we're the level 2, so we're looking for more of an intermediate.
Okay.
The level 1 and the beginners, we're probably not going to go into much detail about the take backs and the core positioning and things like that. So we need to see that stuff that you learnt from the level 2, if that's possible.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm
All
good.
right.
Thank you
Well,
very much.
absolute pleasure,
Good night.
guys.
Thank you.
It's been hopefully you learnt a lot out of that. We're going to
Okay.
probably be having another ongoing learning soon. That one will just be the quick half an hour. As I said, we're going to have regular Zoom meetings. We'll let you know what that topic's going to be. And yeah, good luck. It's been a pleasure. I hope you're all good. Let's keep in contact. Let's keep putting things on the chat, and making each other better. But
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right, take care. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. You guys wanted to stay on a chat or just end?